Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Your video is about to start on all things Social Security. Just a quick reminder, we are here every day, 9 a.m. with some sort of tip or tidbit for you. And we are here generally on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for live stream, live Q&As on everything Social Security. So feel free to pop in a timely fashion, and I will answer your questions there too. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Good morning. I wanted to share with you a kind of a unique situation, at least as far as I've seen over the last couple decades. Not recent. Recently, I did report to you about a young person, say 30s, who prevailed, I would say, entirely on and had to on the mental health, severe mental health challenges, impairments, conditions. And those are hard to come by, but they do happen. And this was not a institutionalized person. Now, what was interesting was that was an SSI case as far as we knew. Prior to my entrance upon the scene, he had filed before and lost, had gone to hearing and been denied by a judge. And I had noticed as I looked through the old stuff, incorporated it with the new, because I took his case on uh, before we applied again. I'd noticed that he had a DLI from work he had done when he was younger that was ostensibly definitely in the past, but also preceded his ALJ denial. Now, everyone knows when I was looking at his earnings statement, I noticed that when I did the math, because I can kind of chart out the earnings statement and figure out where his credits would have lied and what should be his date last insured, it seemed off to me by, say, a year. And it appeared to me that his DLI was actually about 4 months after his judge's decision, the first one, the one that denied him. And we had prevailed on a subsequent one. And of course, on a subsequent one, your technical alleged onset date is the day after the prior judge's denial. Now, when we filed, his DLI was seemingly that much earlier time, according to the SSA. And then when we were able to do the math, we asked for it to be updated. It never was. So the request was made for the judge to take recognition of it. However, there was no SSD claim, only an SSI claim, because you can't make an SSD claim when the SSA says you're not insured because your insured status date, your DLI, was prior. So we were going with the SSI, and I brought it up with the judge. And this is a case that we won with the judge, which was one of those you head into the hearing kind of expecting the worst while hoping for the best. And the best did happen. The judge, we discussed the fact that there had to have been an SSD claim, which there wasn't originally, but about three months before his decision, I'm trying to think of the dates now. I had put in an SSD claim when I saw that they had to have it wrong. They never acknowledged the SSD claim. And the reason why the judge needs to see that there's an SSD claim before he makes his decision is because he can't render a decision on an SSD claim that is not in front of him. So the field office had to process it and then they call it expedite it through initial and recon so it can merge up with the ALJ before he makes his decision or even before the hearing. In this case, it would have been after the hearing. The SSA field office never did that. So this is like November of 2024. And I've been writing to them ever since saying, please expedite, expedite. Of course, the judge eventually made the decision without it. So I'm still pushing. So the decision says SSI awarded as of date of the SSI application, because as you know, SSI never goes retro. So that is, say, January of 2023, SSI will be coming through for him. However, if I can get an SSD claim opened up from, say, February of 22 when the old ALJ denied, and June of 2022 when his real DLI ended, not before that, then there is that 4-month window, which is only about 8 months before what our current judge found to be disabled, and the evidence is all the same as it was earlier. Then we could get this young fellow his Social Security, and he doesn't have to be on his SSI for the rest of his month. So it's a very convoluted, you got to kind of always look at these numbers and see, is that right? And things can change. Particularly when it comes to DLIs. Sometimes the SSA doesn't update its system. It's not common. I do have another one though, that I just alerted the SSA to. In fact, the OHO, Office of Hearings Operations, another one where this person, we have a hearing in a couple weeks. This person's DLI, according to the SSA all along, was end of 2024. Now, we started this claim probably in 2023. Could have been early 24. I'm trying to think how, I don't think it went that fast. I don't think it was a whole year that it, 1 year and it went through initial recon and blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking it was maybe 2023, maybe late 2023. Anyway, so they were saying, so while I had the claim initially, the DLI was in the future. We had until the end of 2024. And then, of course, end of 2024 has come and gone. Our hearing is in, April of 2025. I always like to have a DLI in the future. Always, always, always. Number one, it means we probably can file again if we have to. This is a very disabled person, but another young person. And by the way, thanks to many of you out there are members and contribute, is why these young people are being able to be taken on in such numbers. So I contacted the OHO and I said, this is like the last few weeks, and I said, this DLI is wrong by my read. It should be end of 2025. For some reason, they had not recorded her last year of work. And of course, a year of work would give you all 4 credits, so they're tacked on, and now you got an extra year of coverage. And I want to see that DLI at the end of 2025 and not a remote one of 2024, because she's still treating. And just the mere fact that it also leaves an opening for an additional filing should we need to, or have the opportunity to. Again, it's a young person, so if things don't go the way I hope they do for her, at least we have another shot at the apple, because otherwise she's going to be potentially fighting for SSI and or on SSI until she's of retirement age. And that's like 30 years away. So I don't want to see that. If there's any way I can help that. So I did get a response back from the OHO, and they said, now look at these documents. And I looked at the documents and it's corrected. So someone did something a few days after I did and reran those numbers, and the proper DLI is in there. Because I have been to hearings when it's been a question and they haven't been rerun. And I'm like, I think the DLA is later. And then the judge is supposed to, take action to make that become updated. But you kind of want to know that going into a hearing. You want to know where all of your where all the guns are pointed at you, so to speak. So you can, deviate, pivot, whatever you need to do. So ideally, it's done before the hearing. So for the young lady coming up, that has been done. For the gentleman I'm talking about on the mental health case, and I can't remember where it was filed, but there is a video on the fact that all the things that the judge referred to in the hearing, deciding that the young man was mentally disabled, at least by definitions of SSD. Doesn't mean he's bedridden, right? So if you're interested in that, I know a lot of people are interested in how do you win these early mental health cases, because they're really hard and they are a higher risk and a higher propensity to not prevail. But they're really important to be done. So I'm always urging my colleagues to please take your handful. If we all take a handful, we'll make a big difference. I don't know that we can accommodate everyone because there is such vast numbers, but more would be better. it would be better for the world. So, anywho, very interesting thing about making sure that your DLI, date last insured, is correct. You can calculate it from your earnings report that you can download from your SSA.gov account or your My SSA account, I should call it now, since it's no longer at the same place. And you can, I kind of diagram it out. I'm a bit of a nerd, but that's the way to find out for sure. And then if they're saying a different, if they're singing a different tune, I would have been up there with the judge doing the mapping, like, Judge, look at these, but you don't want to waste hearing time doing that. So I like to get all these and they appreciate, I think, getting the issues at least put out there that are a problem that need to be fixed so they can fix them before hearing. Otherwise, the hearing has to be it'll probably take place, or they might defer it. And then they have to leave it open while they figure out all these other things. And then when they do, they might have to offer a supplemental hearing, but you don't want to have to do all that if you can prevail on the first hearing. All right. Bye, guys. Just thought you might be interested in that story. Always know your DLI and know if it's correct. It usually is. It's usually very correct. These are very remote errors that I see occur. It's technology, someone didn't press some buttons and do things, but so maybe human error combined with, technology not being used to update it. But it's important. It's important to know. We always double check all of ours. So I will talk to you later. Have a great one.